I'm in this episode of Full Throttle. How long does it take a man to rip a plastic bag? Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're on the Chevelle again, no surprise there. And today we're looking at the steering. So all this steering stuff is pretty old and pretty beat up. A lot of the ball joints are bad. So I went to Ride Tech and I got the complete linkage setup, and I'll show you real quick how to do that. The reason I went to Ride Tech is instead of the traditional adjustment sleeves, they have these new ones, and I'll show you real quick what I mean. So as you can see up here, here's the traditional sleeve. You got to loosen these nuts and then you can adjust it, and it doesn't take very long before it's rusted and nasty. So Ride Tech offers this sleeve. Basically you fill it with NICs, and then you have a locking nut on either side, and it's got the provision to allow you to use a open wrench or whatever that you choose to use when you're doing your adjustments. So it'll make it a lot easier to do alignments and stuff in the future. If we want to add more toe in or out or something, you know, go into the track or whatever. So the kit comes with, you know, I already got started here. It comes with these linkages, comes with all the pins and the Zerk fittings. Here's the tie rod ends, and here's the idler, as you can see, and then obviously the adjustment sleeves. Here's a closer look at it, and it's got these holes in it. The holes are what they call sight holes. So as you're putting this together, you want to make sure that you can see the tie rod ends in here, and that will make sure you have proper engagement. I also, while I was at it, went to Global West, and I got their bump stop kit. And what that does is it replaces these right here, where they mount up to the steering knuckle, and it's going to change this angle here and the height of it, so that when we're going down the road and we hit a bump, the steering doesn't cause the car to dart either way. It'll make the ride a lot better, a lot safer, and a lot more comfortable. You can get rid of that bump steer. So I'll show you how those work. It's very intimate. So putting it together is super simple. Just sort of pay attention to the part numbers, and even if that's too complicated for you and you're more caveman like me, you can take a look at the tie rod ends themselves. So for this particular kit, this is the 10016 tie rod end sleeve, and when you take a look at the back, you see there's no Zerk fitting, and the reason for that is that's the inner tie rod. So as you can see, when you put all this stuff together, there's not a lot of clearance here. If you had a Zerk fitting there, you're gonna knock it off basically. And then the one that does have the Zerk fitting, move that out of the way. The one that does have the Zerk fitting obviously goes on the outside. So what do? Well, we get right up in my grill there. Let me put it down here. So here is the one without the Zerk fitting. That'll be our inner. Now I like to lay it out on the floor first, and I'll sort of show you why here in a second, but it just sort of helps me make sure all the links are right as I'm going through, because I try to get it as close as I can. I try to get it as close as I can before I stick it on the car. That way, once I drop it on the ground, I won't have to go so far with the alignment. It just makes my life a little easier. And then if you were going to do something like, so I have the ability to do an alignment here. If you don't have that, the other benefit this gives you is it's close enough to get you to the alignment shop. So we install the Zerk fitting on the back here. It's a 5/16 that I'm using. Now don't He-Man this thing on here, you'll break it. So be gentle. And then I lay them out on the ground with their fancy blue sleeves. Can you even see this? I should probably, how about that? Is that better? You like that? Okay, there we go. Now you've got this sleeve. There's a, let me show you here. Am I talking too loud? Am I not loud enough? So you see how on this sleeve there's this groove cut? Well, this groove denotes the left-handed side. So if you don't know much about tie rod ends, one will be right-hand thread, the other's left-hand thread. So as you rotate this, the different thread pitches will cause it to either draw both in or pull both out. And that's the reason they're both different threads. Now the nuts are the same. You have a left hand and a right hand, and they mark it right here. Isn't that beautiful? It is. So left hand goes in, right hand goes out. And that's kind of all there is to it. So anti-seize is your friend here, right? So someday you'll thank yourself for using a liberal amount of anti-seize on this. Especially if you live in one of those places where they get that stuff called snow and they use road salt to take care of it. So, and then keep in mind, because I've been screwing this up all day, the left hand screws on different than the right hand, and my brain just cannot take it. So I go ahead and thread this fancy shiny nut on, and I'm going to run it all the way out to here, because these will be pretty short by the time I put them on. And I don't put any anti-seize on this until I'm locking it down, because I don't want to make a huge mess and get anti-seize all over my clothes and in my beard, and then taste anti-seize the next time I go to drink some coffee. So I run that one just about as far as it'll go. You can keep adjusting it as you go if you need to. That'll get you close enough. Come on, man. Get out of there. All right. And then sort of same thing, transposed, juxtaposed, whatever fancy term you want to use. On this other side, we'll go ahead and run that down. And I don't grease them yet. I'll grease the actual Zerk fittings once it's on the car. Okay, that's close enough. Now we're going to take this sleeve here, and I use anti-seize. This particular brand, I think you can get it just about anywhere. It's nothing too fancy about it. And then I take a whole bunch of it, and I'll just kind of slide it in there like you're making a peanut butter sandwich. You don't have to worry about applying it to the thread so much, because if you get it here at the opening, it'll nicely lubricate the threads all the way down. So that's probably too much. And then remember, like I said, the one with the groove machined in it, that is the left-hand thread, and that goes to the inside. So we'll go ahead and put the outer on, and you just sort of run it in here until you see the threads. See how they're starting to come through that window there? See it? Woo! Right there. So now we know that one's engaged enough. And then we'll do the same thing with the inner tie rod. And we'll keep threading it in until we see it in the sight window. Oh man, those knuckles sound good, don't they? Alright, so that's close enough for right now. So we'll set this on the floor, and then I'll show you what I do. It's a way, not the only way. But see, no, that's way too much face probably. So I just take this and I wonder what you're looking at. Can you see me? Now I just take this and I'll keep it oriented, just like it'll be on the car. So inner groove, left hand side, outer. And I'll just put them, kind of, sort of, roughly where they go. And as you can see, it's still a little bit too long. So then I like to lay it on my giant thighs here. And I will tighten this sleeve. To make it shorter. Now keep in mind, these are like real tight thread pitch, so you're gonna have to make a few turns to get it to actually move. And then we'll hold it back up here, and you can see it's still too long, so we'll keep going here. Alright, how's that? We're getting there. Doesn't have to be perfect, we're just trying to get it close. Like I said, we'll do an alignment on this once we're got everything replaced. Okay. A little bit more. My brain's still struggling to remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's nearly there. Which way is it again? I keep forgetting. Okay, let's see, what does this give us? That's pretty close. We'll call that good enough. So then I take it and I'll take this nut off. And I will attach it where it goes. And again, don't run it down. Just finger tight here is key. And then the new kit doesn't come with new bolts for this, so keep that in mind. Don't want to go. You don't want to give them the full steroid jerk and break the bolts or something. Here's my tiny hammer. No, she's completely loose. She's lost that love and feeling. And then we can take it out of the steering arm over there. And that's it. Then you can just put that anywhere. And that's done. Oh. Got dirt on my pants. Okay, now, we should probably, you know, like, clean that up and shoot it with some paint, I guess. That would be the right thing to do, wouldn't it? So, oh, hey, look out. So we'll grab the old spinning brush of death. We'll clean this up. Look at that. Refreshed. Okay, so now we can install this. And remember this this part of, see how it's sort of L-shaped? J, maybe? Is that a J or no? Something like that. You want it oriented this way, so the arm's going towards the back of the car and it's bumping out towards the frame to give you the clearance that you need. And then, like I said, you're gonna have to reuse those two nuts. Now we've got those installed, that installed, it installed, the thing. The pit. And then we'll install the Zerk fitting here. The fitting thing, the grease fitting, the grease bung, whatever you want to call it. Like, come out of there. I'm in this episode of Full Throttle. How long does it take a man to rip a plastic bag? Oh no, I got the plastic all over it. Where's my tiny wrench? Tiny wrench! Okay, and then we'll install this fitting. Wow. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. Okay, so there's, if you're just doing the linkages, now you can go ahead and throw those on. I'm going to go ahead and take these off now so that I don't have to keep hitting myself in the face with the tie rods. I'm really concerned about this box coming up. Perfect! It doesn't have any instructions. Great! That's wonderful. Thanks, Global West. So I have, full disclosure, I have C5 Corvette spindles on this, so if you're running the stock spindle, it might be a little bit different for you. So this comes with the bolts that you would use for the traditional stock application. It comes with those, and if I remember right, these run in from the outside, so if you wanted to replace the bolts, you'd have to take the rotor off. These spindles that I have, though, they just thread in. There's none on the back side. It's a threaded provision. So one of these is passenger side, and the other one is driver side. So they go towards the center. So if you're looking at them, see how these turn towards each other? This is the passenger side, or the right side, drinker side. This is the driver side, left side, or right side, depending on which way you're looking at it. Yeah, so I'll yank these off here real quick, and you'll be able to see the difference between the two. And for years, these things have been rusting, needing so much more than this. Okay, so that's the stock one off. We'll put the, can't do that. So now you can, oh, there you are, you're over there. So you can see when you line them up like this shape's the same, obviously, and this one's a little bit shorter, and it's a little bit taller of a cup, and it's got this larger recess on it. And then it's got a little bit more of a twist in it. So we'll have to see what that does, if anything at all. It's always good to put Loctite on your suspension components. So we'll pretend I did that. Oh. Then you want to torque these, you know, yeah, that much. We'll come back and torque them when we're done. Then when you look at these, you can see this one's a little bit lower because it's a recessed cup, and the angle of the arm is a little bit different. So it's not as different as I thought it would be, given what you're trying to do is change what the steering does. Trying to change what the steering does as it goes through its suspension movements. So that's what causes scrub steer, or not scrub steer, bump steer, whatever you want to call it. now that that's done, we can go ahead and put our new linkage up. So what we'll do here is sort of the opposite of how we took the old one off. We'll take these nuts off. We'll do this passenger side one first. Again, we're just finger tight here so far. Scratch that. We'll do the driver's side first. This one up too. Okay. Now, find those other two pins. Kit did not come with the correct number of pins, which I find that interesting. But now we can go ahead and torque everything down, and we'll do a quick alignment, and once we get it back down on the floor, and it'll be all done. So I gotta look up what those torque specs are really quick. So all of the tie rod linkages are 35 foot-pounds. So I'm going to run them down to 25 first. It's because I like to do that. Go ahead and finger tighten all this stuff. And then I like to go center out. I don't think it really matters, but this is the way I like to do it. The Ride Tech kit didn't come with all the pins. You need 6. It came with 4 for some reason. But that's okay. I have a kit full of pins, so we'll go ahead and stick these in here. And how you pin them is sort of up to you. Some people bend one ear, some people bend both, some people bend them opposite directions, some people bend them the same direction. It's really just sort of dealer's choice. Okay, and as you can see, that's that. So what we'll do now is we'll put it back on the ground and we'll do an alignment. But before I do that, I'm going to run these nuts all the way out. And then I'm going to apply some NICs to these threads while we got this thing up in the air. And I think I'll grease everything too before I put it on the ground. And what I do, there's my NICs. So we're just going to take some of this and we're going to put it on the threads here. And then, like I said, we'll go ahead and grease everything too while we're at it, just for good measure. Alright, and then you can see everything's installed down there. Is that bright enough that you can see it? I haven't done the alignment yet, but we'll do that here in a second. And you know, she's getting close. Pretty soon we'll be driving this thing. So I appreciate you guys watching as always, and let us know if you have any comments or questions below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.